When you are setting up a website for your private practice, it can be really overwhelming to figure out what do I need? What do I include? How do I lay things out? And so I want to give you three examples of really great dietitian websites that these individuals have set up for their business and point out some things that they've done really well to help inspire you as you create your own website. So I'm going to share my screen and just point out a few things on each website that I think you could take note of for your own. So the first we have is the Tasty Balance. First, love the color palette. Now, there are a lot of great color palettes, but I like this one because it's colorful but still muted. And they incorporate the colors really well throughout the site without it feeling too crazy. What I also love is that they call out front and center that they accept insurance. Now, I have worked with a lot of dietitians, and not everyone accepts insurance. A lot only accept private pay. Totally fine. But as consumers, a lot of people think that every dietitian or every practitioner out there will be accepting insurance, and they don't. So, making it clear if you do or you do not on the homepage is really, really important because then people see right off the bat, great, I can use my insurance. I also love that they have incorporated these kind of brush strokes throughout the website, again, without it being too overwhelming and being like, oh, is this a paint studio? Like, there's a difference between visuals and adding texture and colors and it being way too much. So, love that they call out the specific insurance companies that they work with. They have some calls to action here for, like, you know, take the next steps. Here's some different directions you can go around the site, getting people on their email list, an intro to the founder. See how we're incorporating the color, but it's not like way too much, which our next example does have a lot of color. So there's different ways to use color. But then we have their philosophy. And so this practice is a virtual practice, or parts of it are virtual. And so they actually have two locations. And for SEO, they actually separated their dietitians by location to help with the SEO. And I know this because I helped do a little bit of their SEO. So that's just something to think about if you are wanting to try and rank locally, especially in different areas. So, really, really clean but colorful and warm website. The next is Alex. I have so many clients that have referenced Alex's website because it's so fun and colorful. And again, this is a lot of color, but it's done so well. So she's a virtual dietitian. You see her press and where she's been featured. Love this little visual element right here to kind of separate the sections. Sometimes there are visual elements in the background, there are borders around images. Like, there's a lot of ways you can incorporate these kinds of elements. And then, we just see the different calls to action. Here's her podcast, and you see this kind of slider in this section. If you click, it goes and it shows another thing. So this is just a cool functionality. This doesn't mean you have to incorporate something like this into your website, but it's always a little fun when you see those kinds of interactions on websites. Now, I would be curious as a data person. I would want to see a heat map to see, are people clicking on this or not? So that's something, to think about. But it is press and media, which has been kind of called out already up here. This isn't really pertinent information like services or pricing. So if people aren't clicking on it, I don't think it would be a major deal breaker, but it is a fun little interaction on the website. And then lastly is one of my clients. This is Perfectly Portioned Wellness, Margot. And so what I love about this site and what Margot's doing, she is super niche, and it's not everyone has to niche down, but if you are, making it super obvious. I know some people niche down, but then they're afraid to say that on their website because they're like, I don't want to like scare people away. But that's the whole point of niching down is making it known what you do and how you can help people. So we have some fun shapes here. We have a very like soft but cool color palette, and we are really talking to that ideal client. So really love that. I also love Margot is testing out a private podcast right now and to get leads into her practice. And this is something a lot of business owners are doing in the I'd say like 2024. And so I'm excited to see a dietitian do that. I've seen a lot of business coaches and copywriters, but to see a dietitian doing that is really fun. So that's something you can maybe experiment with. But this gives you some ideas of how you can set up your own website and different elements. I'm going to link to all three of these websites down in the description so you can go check them out further. I know I only did a few, I only did like one page on each website, but that gives you a few things to think about for your own website. So if you have any questions, of course, let me know down in the comments. I'm happy to answer any website or SEO questions, or if you want to work with me, please reach out. Otherwise,